Jai Sri Ram. Welcome everybody. Welcome Vinay Ji for to Bharat Marg and appreciate it highly for you participating and giving your wisdom, sharing your wisdom with all of our viewers. And आज का बात होगा दोस्तों कि ये G20 के बारे में इंडिया मिडिल ईस्ट यूरोप इकोनॉमिकल कॉरिडोर इसके बारे में बात होगा। क्या ये चाइना के ऊपर बहुत बड़ा सर्जिकल स्ट्राइक था? ऐसा है तो क्यों? ये भी हम जानकारी लेंगे विनय जी से। और इसके अलावा ये क्या पीएम मोदी का मास्टर स्ट्रोक है क्या? इसका भी क्योंकि बहुत क्वार्टर से इसका अप्रिसिएशन आ चुका है, एंड आई विल शो यू सम ऑफ द थिंग्स इन द एज द वीडियो गेट स्टार्टेड। ओके, उस जाने के पहले दोस्तों प्लीज मेक श्योर टू लाइक द वीडियो, लाइक करें वीडियो को, कमेंट करें, शेयर करें, जितना भी लोगों से हो सकता है शेयर करें। उसके अलावा दोस्तों अगर अभी तक आप सब्सक्राइब नहीं किया तो प्लीज सब्सक्राइब टू अवर चैनल भारत मार्ग and also press the notification bell to make sure you get notified, आपको नोटिफिकेशन मिले जब भी हम लाइव जाते हैं तब, राइट? आप आ सकें, पार्टिसिपेट हो सकें, कोई भी सवाल पूछ सकें। इसके अलावा हमारा हर दिन का एक धार्मिक मैसेज आती है, उसको पाने के लिए आप सिर्फ हमें +164796447 नंबर 90 नंबर में एक व्हाट्सएप भेजिएगा और संपर्क कीजिए, आपको मिल जाएगा आपका नाम के साथ, किधर से हैं, कौन सा लैंग्वेज में चाहिए, बहुत सारा लैंग्वेजेस में जाते हैं, कौन सा लैंग्वेज में आपको चाहिए बोल के हमें बताइए। आपको हर दिन का धार्मिक मैसेज आएगा ताकि आप सनातन से जुड़ सकें, अपना परिवार सनातन के जुड़ के रह सकें और can gain maximum. Okay, but anyway, welcome Vinay Ji. Thank you for joining us again in Bharat Marg. Welcome. ये क्या है G20 मिडिल ईस्ट यूरोप इकोनॉमिकल कॉरिडोर? ये तो पहले हमें पता नहीं था। ये लास्ट दिन जो सेशन है उधर बहुत बड़ा इसका घोषणा हुआ। उसके बाद सऊदी प्रिंस जो है वो रुके भारत में, एंड आई एम सीइंग ये जो पाकिस्तान में मैं वीडियो देखता हूँ, सब लोग इतना जलन होते हैं कि सऊदी अरेबिया भारत क्यों आया, भारत आके क्यों नहीं आया पाकिस्तान को, ऐसा बहुत सारा सवाल भी पूछ रहे हैं। इसमें इट्स ए बिग डील दैट विल काउंटर चाइना। इसलिए मेरा सवाल है कि ये क्या सर्जिकल स्ट्राइक था अपना चाइना के ऊपर? और नेतन्याहू सेज दिस विल चेंज द फेस ऑफ मिडिल ईस्ट एंड इसराइल। इधर इसराइल किधर से आया, ये भी मेरा जानकारी है। यस विनय जी, वेलकम टू द शो।
Thank you.
Hare
So,
Krishna.
the corridor, what you just brought up, the initiative that is the Middle East Europe Economic Corridor. That's basically what it's called. So it's kind of the so let's give it a new name, call it IMEC, IMAC, India Middle East Europe Economic Corridor. Okay. So this deal was signed by India, by the European Union, the United States, and Saudi Arabia. Okay. This is considered to be a mega deal to establish the IMEC on the sidelines of the G20 summit on Saturday. And the leaders of India, Italy, France, Germany, the United States, the European Union, and Saudi Arabia signed the memorandum of understanding. Okay. So what is it? Let's talk about it. Prime Minister Modi said that IMEC will usher in a new chapter in global connectivity and sustainable development. He also stated that the corridor would act as a major medium of economic integration between India, West Asia, and Europe. Okay. So keep in mind, the project will be developed under the G7 Nations Partnership for Global Infrastructure Investment Initiative, the PGII, and it aims to bridge the infrastructure gap in developing countries. Okay. So keep in mind that this particular project, the EMEC, is going to be, IMEC is going to be an alternative or a kind of I should say a competitor or a response to China's BRI. So China's BRI is the Belt and Road Initiative, and the cost of the project has not been officially announced, but it's like somewhere in the range of $20 billion to develop this corridor. So how is this going to work? According to the official information, the new project will consist of two corridors. The East Corridor, which connects India with the Gulf countries. So looking at the world map, right? Like, there are from India, the western port, like, you have Mumbai and the right along the coast of western India, right? So that has connections to Oman, Yemen, United Arab Emirates, and then of course Saudi Arabia directly. Okay, so now the corridor is going to be connecting from India to Saudi Arabia through the Gulf of Oman. Okay, through the Persian Gulf, and as you know, United Arab Emirates is also on that same Gulf, the Gulf of Oman, and the UAE, Saudi Arabia are fantastic partners with India. They have a great relationship. Both the Prince of Saudi Arabia, the Emir of UAE, they have a fantastic relationship with Indian Prime Minister Modi and the Indian government. Okay, so now so that is the East Corridor. All right, and now the West Corridor is going to be the one from through Israel, and it borders with obviously Egypt. So Saudi Arabia has a small border with Israel, and basically, so it goes through that and then goes through the Suez Canal, because Israel and Egypt will have to be kind of in a good partnership. And as you know, Egypt was invited to the Republic Day way back this year, right? The Republic Day parade. Egyptian president was invited, and they've got a good relationship with India as well. So it's very important that the border states support this particular corridor, because you don't want any conflicts and any issues there, right? So now it goes through the Suez Canal, and then it goes into the Mediterranean, and then it goes straight into Italy. Okay, so that is the Western Corridor. Are you with me so far? Yeah, and or the Northern Corridor. So which will connect the Arabian Gulf with Europe. So the corridors will consist of a ship-to-rail transit network to facilitate cost-effective transport routes for the countries. Okay, the MOU read it'll enable goods and services to transit to, from, and between India, the UAE, Saudi Arabia, Jordan, Israel, and Europe. The countries also plan to lay down a cable network for electricity and digital connectivity, along with the pipes for clean hydrogen export. So this is a huge mega plan. Okay, something that China or Pakistan or any of these Eastern countries can't even imagine. Okay, so look at the amount of trade that can happen between these countries, and the ease of trade is the most important, right? Like
और विनय जी इधर तीनों तरफ से जाता है, रोड से भी ट्रांसपोर्ट होती है, जहाज से भी होती है ऑन वाटर, और ट्रेन से भी होती है.
Correct, exactly. So road, ship, and rail. Okay, so basically that's the amount of connectivity that'll be there, and the for example, if I order anything from China today, it takes, typically, if I order something bulk, right, and not something you can ship by air or whatever,
right,
it has to come by sea, and it typically takes 45
like
days.
a tanker.
Yeah, 30-45 days sometimes, right? But through this corridor, you pretty much can reduce it by 2/3. So the time is much shorter, and it'll be huge for the trade relationship between these countries.
मतलब इसका मतलब ये भी है कि ये जो बिजनेसेस हैं वो स्मॉलर इन्वेंटरीज भी रख सकते हैं.
Exactly. So it's basically called JIT. So just in time is what people believe here in North America. It's a Japanese terminology, and just in time is basically you don't want to carry too much inventory. Okay. So when manufacturing companies or any of these other companies, or even for example, Walmarts or Costco's or whatever, right, that are and IKEAs and stuff that are bringing so much stuff from India or the Middle East or whatever, right? So the partnership there is the most important thing is to keep minimal stock, because inventory is basically it's a huge burden for any company.
Right.
So now this will minimize that actually.
बट यू जस्ट लेट मी नो मैं ये पूछ रहा था कि ये सर्जिकल स्ट्राइक है क्या चाइना के ऊपर. मैं इसलिए भी पूछा था कि इटली जो है, इटली BRI का जो पार्टनर रहा वो उससे बाहर आ गया. ऐसा भी हो सकता है क्या? ये जो कॉन्ट्रैक्ट से बाहर आ जाते हैं उनके ऊपर कोई एक्शन नहीं होता है, अभी इसमें शामिल हो गए इटली. इसका मतलब क्या है?
No, I mean, like, the thing is with China, there's so much going on with the Chinese government. They're not transparent. Then their relationship, they've spoiled the relationship with many countries in Europe and North America, and there's a huge and their relationship is definitely not good with India as well. So it's basically the transparency, right? For example, if you look at what happened a few months ago.
सॉरी विनय जी, और एक और बात है, ये G20 में कंप्लीटली मोदी जी ने आइसोलेट कर दिया. जैसा नॉर्थ कोरिया हो, जैसा पाकिस्तान हो, ऐसा हो गया चाइना अभी. ब्रिक्स और
Absolutely.
G20 के बाद
China was not even in any bilateral talks. Nothing, no trade talks, no bilateral talks. Same thing with what happened with Canada, right? China was completely sidelined. So this is the unfortunate part, and Chinese government is feeling the pinch, and tomorrow the issue with the advantage, I should say, that Chinese have over India is the cost of labor, and also the fact that they do a lot of reverse engineering. Okay, you give them a component, you give them a part, they can reverse engineer within 15 days, and then they'll be able to get into mass production in 30 days. But that's not the kind of infrastructure that India does, right? India basically does a lot of R&D, make sure that things are working and all that. Chinese don't care about it. I'm like, they give me the part, I'll do it, man. Don't worry. And the quality fallout is huge. But basically, because of the cheap labor and the cheap material stuff that they get, it doesn't matter to them. So even if they make 1,000 parts and a quarter of them or half of them are basically junk, they'll just throw them out. Sometimes they ship it to dollar shops and things like that to make their money. But India doesn't work that way. When products are coming out of India, they want to make sure that it's quality product and stuff like that. So that's the reason India is not as productive as China. And it's not in a bad way, but don't take it in a bad way. It's actually a good thing, because what comes out of China compared to what comes out of India is actually crap, junk. Okay, so that's the unfortunate part with China, but they have that advantage, and that's the reason they've been able to do that. But the thing is, the relationship has been so sour with many of the countries that people are backing off. Like you just mentioned about Italy backing off from the BRI. You know what? If the partnership doesn't work, there is nothing. Nobody can put a gun to my head or to any country's head and say, "Oh, you got to stay on because you've signed a memorandum of understanding." MOUs are there for to build that relationship, to make sure that things work out. And if they don't work out, too bad, right?
बिल्कुल. मीन्स अब इसका ये मोदी जी का मास्टर स्ट्रोक है. आप कैसा देखते हैं? सऊदी के तरफ से आप कैसा देखते हैं? ये नेतन्याहू जो इसराइल का प्राइम मिनिस्टर है, वो क्यों इतना खुश है इसके बारे में? और बाइडेन भी खुश है. ये तो यूरोप तक जाता है. बाइडेन के लिए क्यों इतना खुश?
Because the corridor passes through Israel, through Suez Canal, right? I just told you. and it also will help Egypt on the African side. So obviously Israel is very happy with that initiative. The other thing is, because now this is going to reduce their dependency. That's the word. Their dependency on China. The European Union's dependency and the American dependency on China will reduce now, because what they've been doing is, for the last so many years, is they've been kind of in a situation where they can't get out, because they are China supplies cheap stuff and
From
whatever.
everything. That toilet paper भी नहीं मिलती है.
Exactly, and the thing is, with their kind of so much dependency on China, they have kind of decided, you know what, we'll turn a blind side to whatever bad things that China does. But now that there is an alternative, like, for example, BRICS is a huge alternative for all of this, right? Like, but part of BRICS is China too. So now that's why they've created this particular IMEC platform, through which there'll be a lot of trade exchange and all that stuff goes on.
Now POK भी बहुत बॉइलिंग में है, इसलिए भी बहुत नुकसान होने वाला है. सिल्क रूट वो क्या होता है? BRI क्या है? सिल्क रूट क्या है? They know ये two are same or what?
Silk Route is basically what is kind of between
Asian
Pakistan, Asian countries there, mainly between Pakistan and China, and Silk Route was not something new. It's been centuries old, actually, and it's been that's the route that people in the past, the explorers, used to take to reach China, to reach India, to reach obviously Pakistan was part of India, right? So that's how it was. But now with so many new technologies, so many things that are happening, connected, like we are just talking about digital connectivity as well, that's also going to be helpful. So here, you're not depending on just the old mode of transportation. The old mode of transportation was the horseback, the bus, the trucks and stuff like that. But these are not efficient, because they cannot carry enough goods, weight on them. Like a truck can carry a certain amount of weight, but imagine if this has to go, if the same stuff can go on a ship or rail, and that opens up a huge corridor, right? So that's the whole idea. So there's no comparison between BRI and IMEC, what they are proposing.
और ये एक और बात बताइए, लास्ट क्वेश्चन टू यू, कि ये जो सऊदी अरेबिया से कल डील हुआ था लोकल करेंसी में ट्रेड करने के लिए, इसके बारे में कैसा सोच रहे हैं?
That's a huge thing.
And how big blow is it is for America? मगर अमेरिका का बाइडन तो हंसते हंसते सब कुछ लेके चले गए.
No, that is right, because this is a separate thing that is going on. It's got nothing to do with G20. It's got nothing to do with any of the IMEC or whatever, right? India is actually kind of in a thing to kind of create an alternative currency, actually. And the rupee is now being accepted in many countries, including in UAE and many of the
Saudi
other.
Arabia also, it is going to get started now.
It's going to get started. That's what I was just going to get to.
Anji.
UAE is already you can buy and sell Indian rupees there. Now, hopefully, in the next little future, in the near future, things will open up in Saudi Arabia. And that was the whole thing, that because Saudi Arabia, the prince actually stayed back. I don't know if you noticed that prince had a special dinner arranged for him by the president of India. And obviously Prime Minister Modi was there, and all the cabinet ministers were there, and Saudi Arabian prince and his cabinet ministers were all there. And that was a huge, fantastic initiative. And there they signed a trade deal just between Saudi Arabia and India. And now they're also talking about Riyal being Saudi Arabian Riyal being available in India, and then likewise
they can trade, both countries can trade in their own
they
local
can
currency.
trade in their own currency, not using US dollars. This is going to save a lot of exchange, a lot of headache, and it's obviously going to affect the US economy a little bit, because Saudi Arabia,
Little bit or a lot.
okay.
Their dollar mafia. This is a surgical strike on dollar mafia.
Saudi Arabia is a very, very rich country. They don't deal in thousands, millions, or whatever. They only deal in billions of dollars. So obviously, it's going to hit the Americans in a small way, I should say. Small way.
Anyway, thank you, Vinay Ji, for joining us and putting us together all these things. Appreciate आप आके हमसे बात किए, लिए बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद. जय श्री कृष्ण.